Welcome to the next episode of our close season specials. And this week, our guest is Toby, the Port fan who we've had on a couple of times before and has always proved very popular. So it's great to have you back on the show, Toby.
Thank you very much, Dale. It's always a pleasure to join you. And looking forward to this session today.
You say that now, you don't know what I've got in store for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Get ready to be grilled. I'm going for the jugular this week.
Okay, I'll prepare myself.
Yeah. So, Thai football, discuss. No, seriously, we've got to start with Thai Port. Obviously, Port, your team. Sum up your season as best you can, please.
I would sum it up as disappointing. I mean, even though, we came third and we qualified for the Asian Champions League 2 tournament next season, most Port fans and myself included view it as another disappointment. Once again, like the same old problems are coming to the fore. And even though we had a change of coach as expected, we always fire and hire during the season, he couldn't get the team performing constantly for the entirety of the season. And, our semi-final in the League Cup really kind of summed up our season. We just didn't perform until we were losing, and then it was too late. Kudos to the teams who finished above us. They were the better teams for the season. But as always with Port, you always feel like it's a missed opportunity. Placing same league position, same cup semi-final 2 seasons running, and if you keep repeating mistakes like that, you tend to think that the players, the club, the coaching staff aren't really learning from their mistakes.
But you've made some impressive signings during the close season. So surely expectations are raised, aren't they?
Yes, I think the signings have been very impressive. Getting Motta was a very smart move. We do have this reputation of buying Thai League top scorers and then absolutely ruining them. Boskovic comes to mind for that example. But Honey, Irfan as well, all good players, good solid players. And it seems that we've done our shopping well in advance, so that we can get them doing the preseason together, and we don't just have to parachute people in at the last minute. Expectations are high, but once again, Port have been doing their shopping in the Thai league, and I look at, say, Buriram at the moment, and once again they're going to Brazil. They've got Neil Etheridge, which I think is a smart signing as well. And it would seem that we very rarely want to go outside of Thailand. And when we do, actually, we've had some successes. Franz Boutros and Shimura, the Japanese midfielder, I think have been excellent acquisitions. So, I just wish the club kind of was a bit braver, like venturing into the unknown. But, Dale, I mean, my expectations are quite realistic. I can't see us really toppling the top 2 unless we get it together on the training ground. That's my thoughts. It doesn't matter who you have in the squad. We could buy the best players in the world, but if you don't galvanize them as a team, you don't kind of give them the training, the drilling, the instructions to do, to know their role, then it's going to be a problem. And then you've got to remember as well, there are, we have some great Thai players who, unfortunately, they really don't come to their full potential. I mean, Bodin Fala is arguably one of the best technical players in the Thai league. But, I think he's being eclipsed now by, say, Jarong Suk, who's just gone back to Glass as well. And he's not better than some of the Thai attackers in the teams above us. I'm hopeful. That's what I'll say, Del. But I got to be realistic about next season, because I can't see us going that step further at the moment. But I want to be pleasantly surprised by them. I will say that.
This next question's based on observations I've made. Certain people on social media are always commenting about Port, and they seem to be of the impression that it's not that important to win things, and they don't expect to win things. They're just perennial runners up or perennial 3rd or 4th place finishers. Do you think that's a mentality that has a hold of the club? I mean, based on what you've just been saying, you're saying your expectations aren't that great. Do you think that's now a mentality that needs to change in order for things to improve at the club?
I think that's a great question, because I remember when I started following Port 7 years ago, and they had just been promoted. And, back in those days, they were considered a classic yo-yo club. And I think the expectations were much lower there. And I think there's some of that sentiment that still carries with more of the long-term fans. And I also think there are fans who just come for the fun of it as well. So you have this kind of sentiment, this long-term sentiment, these people who just really want to be part of the match day experience. And then, of course, on the flip side, you'll get some people who I know, in Seven in our group, are extremely driven by the team, wanting the team to succeed. And, there's a high expectation now because of our ownership and because of the caliber of the players we are buying that we need to keep pushing on. Remember, we've only won one trophy since, well, in the 7 years I've been a fan, we've only won one trophy. And I think in our history, the trophy cabinet isn't overflowing. We're not kind of opening up a second wing for the trophy cabinet at Port. So, I think that's the kind of expectation with people. And also, what I would also say, Dale, is and from your experience of Thai football, win, lose or draw, most Thai fans will be cheering the team and the opposition at the end of the game. So sometimes with the Thai fans as well, they have their own mentality as well. And as long as you, in inverted commas, fight for the team, that's good enough. I think that's really the problem. Maybe that, along with some slightly more relaxed attitudes on the training ground to being a professional footballer, it kind of creates like a perfect storm of coming close but not quite getting there, And I think that might be the problem. But I think you raised an interesting point about the fans' attitude as well. Yeah, I mean, if you go to any social media comment section after a game for Port, you get a mixed bag now. I mean, Thai fans are starting to get a voice, but a lot of them are just like, keep fighting, I cheer you, whatever, kind of comments. And maybe that's not what we're looking for here.
You mentioned the management answer to my last question. Have you any idea what is happening now? Officially, Madam Tang has moved on. She's the chair of the FA, and personally, I think she's doing a good job. She's made a good start, and I've got a lot of faith in her. Words that'll come back to bite me, no doubt, further down the line.
Yeah.
But what is her involvement? There was that incident where she turned up wearing a Port shirt and was rallying the crowd a few games before the end of the season. So what is going on? Do you know?
I can give you the official line. The official line is that her brother.
We don't want the official line, Toby. We want your opinions and any gossip.
Okay. Basically, the brother is just a proxy. He very rarely comes to games or makes himself visible at games like Pang. And yeah, you did just mention in the question Pang turning up in a Port shirt, and she says she just wanted to come and celebrate, where clearly it's another photo opportunity for her. But I think day-to-day involvement, she's probably a little bit lighter because she's got a lot on her plate at the Thai FA. But I still think that she looms over the stadium with her controlling most things. I get the feeling that most things will still go through her, most Port decisions, rather than her brother. The brother really is not kind of, you don't see his face everywhere. I mean, if you remember, there was a while when Pang had her daughter as well as the vice chair of the club, and we heard rumors that she was totally disinterested in that. I do know that the daughter is now studying, I think, some kind of like masters in football management, or for ownership in the UK. I know that. But basically, though, she still controls it. She's been put into the position of chair of the Thai FA because they want more. The big owners want more control and more say. You said she's doing a good job. I think she's fumbling a little bit already, but he's just a puppet, this brother, and I expect her to be making most of the big decisions herself still.
No, that's fair enough. And I think from her point of view, if things don't work out at the Thai FA, she's got something to fall back on, hasn't she?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't need to be doing this. really. It's a hearts and minds operation. I guess also it kind of helps to plump up your ego. It's good for image as well. I mean, most of these owners, I mean, they probably lose money what they put into the club, but they probably gain more non-financial benefits from it in Thai society, or in the upper echelons there. So she could drop us if she wanted to. I mean, she dropped us, we would probably disappear. Really, I don't think the Port Authority could continue running the club to the same level that she does. But I think that Pang wants to help the club still, and I think but she has this bigger brief, and she's a bit focused on that as well.
I think the threat of disappearance, which you just mentioned, that's something that's always in the background, isn't it? I mean, we've talked before, and it's been ongoing for years and years, that obviously the ground is on prime location. And as you just said, if Pang does pull the plug, then there's no way they can compete financially. How much of a concern is that? And what do you think would happen to the club if that did happen?
As a concern, I think it kind of lurks in the background a lot. I think everyone is aware that like her tenureship has kept the club going still. I mean, I think she signed on for another 5 or 6, 7 years as owner, so that keeps us going. She stabilized the club. I've mentioned this in our previous conversations. One of the things she's done to her credit is stabilize the club as a Premier League team. So some clubs, when they get relegated and lose their star players, and then they have issues. I mean, if you look at teams like Samut Prakan at the moment and what they're going through, so it's always a fear. I think that, like you said, that in your question, the question of the stadium and the prime real estate there is another thing, because if the club moved, the club would lose its identity. It's the team of the working class, of the slums of the city, and it needs to remain there to maintain those characteristics. So Pang leaving, or the club, like the club reforming somewhere else, it just wouldn't work. Port is a very unique team in Thailand because it's never really moved. It's always been based in Klong Toy in Bangkok, and it's had the odd like name change. I remember when Pang first came, she put the insurance company, it became Port MTI for a while. It's rare for a club to be active for several decades to still keep its original identity. Yes, the badge changes, and of course people come and go, but it's very rare to see this, especially if you think like Buriram was PEA. I don't know, was Chonburi always Chonburi, Dale?
Yeah, we've always been in the province. I mean, just to pick you up on that, Port have moved around. I don't know if you're aware of that. They did.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did used to play in Chonburi for a while. They had a season down there. They played up at the Air Force Stadium. They played at Thai Japanese. So they've had a few grounds. Port Authority Stadium, as we know it now, didn't exist until about 2009. It used to just be, I think there was the one stand was there, because I've actually played on that ground when I played in the Casuals League. I can't remember who we played against now, but they had the one stand and the rest was just open sides. And they moved back there in 2009. And they'd put the other 3 stands in place, or the first tier of the other 3 stands, and then they've kind of developed it from there.
Yeah, I've seen those old photos.
Yeah. So they have moved around.
Okay.
But I mean, if that was to happen in the future, would you follow them? And if so, how far would you be prepared to travel to watch Port?
That's a good question. I mean, if they stayed in the city, for sure. I would still follow them. Yeah, I mean, if they moved to another, even if they moved down to Chonburi in that direction, I don't think I would be a regular there. I mean, part of football is it's reachable. That's the beauty. And also, I mean, Bangkok needs more city-based teams, in my opinion. I mean, like we're talking about stadiums, Bangkok United used to play in Thai Japan Stadium, and now they're out at Thammasat, and that's a terrible stadium to be based in. I mean, I know they've got a reasonable fan base, but that stadium is just it's too big for them. Yeah, it would be tough. I mean, they would have to stay in the city. Basically, is the answer. If they moved out the city, I don't think I would be an as avid a supporter as I am now.
It'd be quite difficult, wouldn't it, given the size of
Yeah.
Bangkok and the. I mean, it is a very built-up city, isn't it? I mean, the space is at a
Hmm.
premium. It's a tough one. I mean, it's one of these things. Thankfully, in the last couple of years, it all seems to have calmed down with clubs moving and changing location regularly. We went through a period where it was happening all the time. I can remember
Yeah.
clubs starting the season in one province and ending it in another. It got to that ridiculous level. So thankfully, that's something we're not having to deal with as much these days. But it'd be
Sure.
interesting to see if they were to move where they would go. Would they move into an existing stadium? For me, Thai Japanese is somewhere that should be utilised. I mean, you could actually get quite a decent ground there, bit of
Yeah.
investment, and it's handy. It's easy to get to. So maybe that's something
Yeah.
that they should consider. And in one respect, it would be a return home.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. And also thank you for informing me. Like I said, I'm not the most well-informed fan, so I bow to your superior knowledge. But yeah, Thai Japan would be fine. I live near Chulalongkorn University, and they have a team that play out of that football stadium, and that's perfect size for another club. I think the fans, I think you wouldn't be able to sell alcohol around there, but I know Port fans always have a way of getting around that. For me, Dale, there's not much new sporting infrastructure in the city, and what we do have is normally not well maintained. I think one of the issues about Thai Japan is the floodlights. We wouldn't be. I think the floodlights are not good enough now for night games. And I think that was the problem with the cup final being at the old National Stadium for a while. That moved away as well. So it would be better if the governor of Bangkok would invest a bit more in updating the infrastructure. But as you know, things take time here, much longer than maybe back home in Europe, to get these things off the ground. So if they did move, I think it would be a struggle. I think if they did move, I think they would take a stadium that would be ready made. Everything's set to go. So, I mean, you would be looking at maybe Glass Pathum Thani up there, or dare I say it, sharing with Muangthong, which would be horrific. But
I'd love to see that, and I'm sure many others would too. A marriage made in heaven, I think that.
yeah, yeah, like it'd be like a weekly episode of The Odd Couple or something like that. Yeah, God, no, that's a terrible suggestion. I'll roll that second stadium back. But what I mean, I couldn't see the club thinking far ahead enough to plan something like a new stadium. I don't think Pang or would be willing to finance that. And, that would take a lot of work, working with local businesses, the governor of Bangkok, to get off the ground. Building a football stadium doesn't happen overnight. And like you were saying, in Thai football, decisions get made overnight that really pull the rug from under people's feet. But I don't think they could do the opposite and plan something like that well enough. I just can't see that happening.
It's a big project, but to be fair, if anybody can, Pang can, I would guess.
Yes, yeah, probably, but Pang could, but I don't think she will. I don't think it's within her best interest to build the stadium. I just don't think it could be justified a stadium for Port. Incidentally, I mean, Port also has a futsal team, and they built a new stadium. They're playing in a warehouse in behind the Port FC's football stadium, Pat Stadium, and they built this new building, and they didn't move into it. They were like, no, we don't. I guess there's several reasons, but you see this in Thailand, people building things and they become white elephants. So I think that could possibly happen. Justifying one team there might not be enough to get the project to happen.
And you'd have a new nickname as well, wouldn't you? White Elephants.
Yeah, I don't think the Thais would get the joke. They'll probably like the nickname.
Right, moving away from off-field issues, back to the on-field. Rang
Yeah.
Sam, your coach, What are your
Mm.
opinions on him? He seems to be
Yeah,
well liked and well respected throughout the game, and he's certainly
yeah,
making things happen, isn't he?
yeah. I like him a lot. He's going to need some time. I think this season, like we mentioned earlier about the signings we've made so swiftly at the start of the postseason, I think he knows who he wants, and I think he knows how he wants his team to play. Yeah, he's liked. I mean, there was a few grumblings towards the end of the season when we realized, we didn't have that extra 5-10% to make a title charge, even though we were still mathematically in it, close to the end of the season. I like him. I hope he doesn't have like a bad spell at the start of next season, because normally that's it really at Port. If you go even a few games drawing, Pang used to get quite trigger happy there. But let's see. The biggest problem last season for me was, once again, like we mentioned, mentality on the pitch and also fitness. The team, I remember several games where the team just couldn't keep their physical levels up against the opposition. I remember when Patamtani or Glass came and they managed to steal the victory, and we looked very laboured, and we were playing. We were playing players who were clearly not 100% as well. Hamilton Suarez springs to mind. He came on several times in the second half of the season with his knee strapped up, and he could barely run. Thank God he can. His head's as good as his feet, really. So he's good. I just fear for him next season. All it takes is a couple of losses, a couple of draws in quick succession, and the knives come out. And that's the nature of football, unfortunately. But we need to give this guy a go, because the thing that happens is you bring someone else in, and he might want to change things up completely, and he might not have the players he wants. So let's see. Let's get behind it. It's going to need like a good full calendar performance this time. I think Rangsan knows what the team needs to do, and hopefully in pre-season he'll get them fitter this time, because they certainly need to compete more in those stakes.
How much of a say do you think he has in who you sign and tactics on the pitch and substitutions to make, etc.?
I think he has more than previous managers as well. A signing like Isaac Hunting is clearly his signing. And it's a shrewd signing, because we need that physicality. He's always been class for Please Tara Honey, and also he can operate in a variety of positions. So, and we need more players like that. One of Rangsam's issues was he was trying to play people slightly in different positions, and sometimes it worked, or sometimes it didn't. It was a bit hit and miss as well. So I think he's now got personnel there that he wants and he can use. I mean, like, Irfan's a great signing. If he can stay fit, he's got a pretty poor injury history, but it's about keeping him fit. And even the guy from Buriram we signed, Dumbuya, but he had a good season. I think in his last season at Buriram, he got binned off a bit, but just having another like big physical presence on the pitch, I think will help. Because last season, Hamilton and Tardelli were good. I thought Tardelli, a lot of people gave Tardelli some stick, but I thought he was quite an economical player, actually. But we didn't have any physicality up front. We need some people in our Facebook group say we need some more big bastards on the pitch. Pardon my French. I don't know if I can say that on this podcast. And I would agree. We do need a bit more physicality out there.
If you could sign anyone else now, given what you just said, who would it be? Or realistically,
it's too late. The one I wanted was Jeremsuk from Wangton. I remember watching him play for Samet Prakan a few years back, and I was incredibly impressed by him, and I'm not surprised that BG have re-signed him again. I heard rumors he was going to go to Japan, and I think more Thai players should get out of this league and go and test themselves elsewhere. But unfortunately, he's been re-signed by Glass, so can't really have him. I doubt Polk could get their hands on Basoli, who I think is going to tear up the goal scoring charts this coming season. So I don't know who else would I like. Let me think. I do like Van der Luis and Poclau. Poclau's getting on. Poclau's getting a bit, but I've always found Bangkok United to have some solid performers there as well. Van der Luis has always been solid, and I always thought that he could come in and do a pretty good job at Port. But I don't know, maybe we could tempt Supernat to come back from Belgium and play up front for us. I don't know. That would be quite wild if we could achieve that.
Just quickly before we finish, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Next season, what would make you happy? If we're chatting this time next year, you can look back and say, yeah, we've achieved everything that I wanted us to achieve. What would that be?
Just a trophy. Just something, something. Just a bit more hard work and just to secure one trophy. That would be great. Like you said earlier, Port fans, have this kind of Mai Pen Rai mentality, you could say. But I go to football to see my team win as much as I go for the social and the enjoyment of being around my friends and having a good time. And I can accept the team losing, but I think this year we really need to get our hands on a trophy. Whether we'll do that, Dale, is a completely different question. But I would like to see us just go that little bit further, because I think it's a shame that Port as a club in the last 2 seasons has come very, very close. And it wasn't as if they were beaten by better teams in the end. I felt that last season that Bangkok United let the league slip out of their hands, as much as Buriram once again went out and bought some good foreign signings. I thought it was more on Bangkok United, and for 2 years running, my team's been in a cup semi-final, and they've put in a 5 out of 10 performance in both of those semi-finals. We need to do better than that. Simple as that. But you don't get everything you want in football, Dale. You go there to enjoy the experience, cheer your team on, and be part of something. So, I'm always grateful for that, and I can always fall back on that if we have another unsuccessful season.
Well, I think everything's pointing to Port doing well this year. I mean, obviously they're not going to win the league. I think we all know who that'll be, but winning a trophy is not beyond you. And as you say, it's probably well deserved, given what you've managed to achieve in the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, and I look forward to the Asian Champions League too, because we are going to be in the group stages, and I'm looking forward to not only seeing the team play in a continental tournament, but also kind of going away and enjoying a few away days later on this year. So it's nice to have this like a new side quest in the adventure of following Port, because we don't get abroad regularly. We normally get knocked out in the qualifiers after one game, and that's your lot. So it's a nice extra kind of little bonus for this season.
Then, like you say, a great opportunity to travel. There is nothing like it. I've done it a couple of times with Chonburi, and it's fantastic. A really great experience. So thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. As always, fascinating to get your insight and your opinions. So just really remains for me to say good luck to Port for the upcoming season. I'm looking forward to them ground sharing with Mung Tong eventually. I think that'll give the rest of us a lot of pleasure, Toby. I think you the can of worms.
I am going to regret that comment when this podcast comes out. But anyway, I'll deal with that flag. And Dale, once again, thank you for inviting me on and let me waffle and riff here. I always appreciate it. And good luck to Chonburi next season. You've got a good player in Charlie Calf joining your ranks. You certainly got a bit of steel at the back now. And I hope you guys return to the Premier League swiftly.
That's very kind of you. Yeah, we'll be up by Christmas. You heard it here first.
I like attitude.
Anyway, thanks a lot, Toby. So enjoy the rest of your weekend.
My pleasure.
And we'll speak soon.
Thanks a lot, Dale. Okay, take care. All the best.